like the idea of dialogue, which usually doesn't happen. So a few years back, that was in my mind, and I started to call various different kind of people, to come and talk and be with us. Hi Pramila, you were able to find the place? Yeah, I'm so glad. Hi. So in the series, we've initially had a lot of singers coming over, but there was nothing concrete that we decided. And then we had a small space in Goa. It kept on, the things were happening here in fragmented way, they were happening there in a fragmented way. So we sort of started calling this space Studio 365, which is actually the address of my home studio in Goa. But the Delhi chapter, we started calling it also Studio 365 because it becomes an idea then. It becomes more of an idea and not space. So we already had Janet some months back, a talk about placenta and childbirth, which was very interesting. She had given that talk, I think in Spain somewhere, and I coaxed her. I said, you have to come here and give that talk. Stella is here, so I requested her. Stella has been wanderer, traveler all throughout, and her passion for Matsyendranath and the yoginis, we share with each other, and I thought it would be interesting to share it with everyone.
And we are not going to talk directly about sex, but we are going to talk about what is just before sex. This desire, this first thought, this spark that made the absolute to manifest. Because the absolute is completely complete. So this little tick that became the Big Bang, that is what is about desire and how this expressed in India and how it has been through ages, how it has manifested in different forms. That is beyond time, beyond age, beyond everything. This beautiful sculpture that we see here, even that is an old kind of Chamunda-like, and the man is also old, you see the desire that is there. You see this something, this is pure sensuality, even that they are old. First time I came to India, tried to look very Indian. I remember putting the sari, and I was not knowing that what I was different. It was because my Latin American ways were the way of walking, the way of looking directly to the man into the eyes, and all this was not Indian. And I went to Khajuraho. Until that moment, I was a yoga teacher, a meditation teacher. I became interested in India. I was reading the Upanishads, the Vedas, all the spiritual things. But for me, everything was yoga, pure, sattvic. I was, since I was born, pure magic. I was eating very sattvic. I never liked onion, garlic, never liked meat. So really, all the yoga masters thought that, this is really a pure being. So I felt very pure. I dressed in white. And then I come to Khajuraho. It was completely different from the austerity, renunciation, detachment, all the Puritan ideas. But I understood that there was something more, because at the same time that I was a yoga teacher, practitioner, and so on, I loved to study Mircea Eliade, that was a historian of religion. I was somehow familiar of the magic religious associations with sex. The first Kamasutra, they were not images. The images we are mostly familiar, they were images from the Mughal time. And you see the windows are already very much Islamic windows, and you see that they are the paintings are there from that time. The miniature painting style is there. And this is only India, but it was also Pakistan, Nepal, Bangladesh, all these form part of the same thing. So this big country with so many languages, so many different also castes, so many different centuries, because when we are now going to have interactive dialogue, I am sure that every one of us will have different points of view, and we are all being right, but it's because the range of time is so big. India has this kind of recorded history of 45 centuries. It's a lot of years. If you count from the Indus Valley time until now, it's so amazing, enormous quantity of time that in Puranas, in verses, in Vedas, in so many ways has been more or less recorded, or in sculpture, in art. So we are talking about a huge amount of time with different levels and different cultures. So in this context, everything is right. When we travel, we see that there are many truths. The only person that helped me with this quest, it was this book, The Erotic Sculpture of India, from the Vandana Desai. And if you have the opportunity of read, it's fascinating. And she just opened windows. The carnival, that means, carnaval, it means the end of the flesh. So it's also something of doing everything in order to become purified afterwards. Also maybe Holi has a little bit of that. It's a moment that everything is allowed. But here, what we see in the temples is something that is static, is in the wall. So it's slightly different. And probably this interpretation of everything that has to do with sex and some overflowing of things, because of the Pancha Makara. You have all heard about that? The 5M, the 5 offerings. That one is wine, the other is meat, the other is fish, mudra, and maituna, and sex. So the wine, of course, it can be, and there are people that will take wine in their practices, but also in another level is a modified state of consciousness. So we have many different levels. And also the meat. The meat it could be that they eat meat, but it could be also to allow the senses to perceive things. The matsya, the fish, it could be also that they eat fish, but it could also, and some more spiritual people say, that is the mind that gets this information through the senses, that goes through the senses and gets the information. And then the mudra, it could be position in some tantric texts, is even the Shakti synonym of Shakti, but it's also things that we eat. So it could be whatever we eat. And then Maituna, what Tantra looks for is to unify, to go to the state of non-duality. And then we have this kind of thing. Not only in the ancient times they were doing this erotic sculpture, this is in a modern temple in Orissa. I wanted to talk with the people of this temple and nobody was there. I wanted to say, why? What are you? No, because you understand that in ancient times it could be the crops, it could be to motivate all this, and here is a temple that in one side has Shiva and Parvati and this and that, and these also are there, and there are big images and they are new. I have no explanation, I have only respect that there are different interpretations of text and accepting the body and so on. But these are interpretations of certain texts. I showed you in the beginning this map of India with all the languages, because that is, there are different languages to interpret, to communicate, and this country is that, this variety. And for me, that is my own personal opinion, for me Tantra is more in another language of images. For me that is Tantra, that they are abstraction of the cosmos, abstraction of, but it's so much a language. You see in the animist, in the tribal areas, these images are very often there, and they are telling a lot of stories. So, what are the tantric temples? So for me, the tantric temples were, for instance, the yogini temples. And in those temples, it was not outside showing of sex. They are so simple. We have been in several, and all are in stone. Everything happened inside. Everything is in these esoteric languages that you need to be initiated in order to go deeper in that knowledge. Here we have the temple of Rani Pujari, and it's in the middle of nowhere. It's in a bare rock. It's like in another space. Even if you don't sit and meditate, you are walking in the meditation when you are in these spaces. So Khajuraho, yes, it was probably a site of Tantra, but not because of the erotic temple, but because of the yogini temple. Outside is a rock also, and on the top of the rock is this rectangular space. My conception of Tantra and interiorization that goes through the senses. And that is the main difference with the traditional path. The traditional path is that you get rid of the senses. Also, you do austerities, you do penance, you do fasting. But in Tantra, is no asceticism, and the senses are used. And that is what it makes sometimes thinking that is sex. Because as the senses are used and stimulated, of course that it could be that in one moment the stimulation is also, sex is also there and is not denied. A lot of misunderstanding is they use strong sentences in order to get rid of the preconceived ideas. When we were now in our trip, we were buying some flowers and Janet smelled the flowers and the ladies were like, "Oh, you cannot offer that to the goddess, you smell the flowers." There are so many rules for the puja. Tantra came and was so powerful in a moment that the form was more important than the essence. So it came like a revolution and wanted to remove all these preconceived ideas. Very often the Tantras give very hard statements in order to shift your ideas that the good and bad are just faces of the same thing. So that is, Tantra is this shaking away ancient paradigms. And also it gives how to eliminate the stress, so they use different techniques, mantra, sound, different meditations, and to refine the consciousness in order to achieve high state of consciousness, and also to go beyond. So the siddhis are there also used. The siddhis, you know what is the siddhis? Siddhis are powers. With yoga, the idea is that we harmonize our body and mind. So if I am going to take my phone here, if I am everyone has lived that, experienced that, if I am in harmony, I will take my phone. But the day I am nervous and the car is waiting, I am so clumsy and my mind and my body are not coordinated. We have all experienced that. So the idea with yoga is to unify and coordinate this. The idea with the siddhis is to unify your body, your mind, and the universe. So these powers that you use, this way of thinking, is in order to create a harmony. And if I want now a plate of spaghetti, if I think of that, maybe it will materialize, because I am in such a harmony that I could create. I am in the state of creation, and I am cleaning these channels in order to get more and more in tune with my body, my mind, and the universe. So those are used in the Tantras. When you read the books of the Tantras, you see that that is there. It's not evident, it's in a cryptic language. And images have been very much there. Images of power and images of powerful women. Why women? Why the Tantras and the Tantric temples are so much with women? Because women first is creative power, but also is the manifestation of desire. Here it comes my tick of the Big Bang, this prakriti, this creation, this manifestation of this absolute that came and in groups. Why the groups? Something was there with the group that is more powerful than one single goddess. In the Tantras, you see that they talk about matrikas and they talk about the 64 yoginis. These are groups of energies. And once I heard a conference about some bosons, some particles in the matter that they need to be together, but they are different, and they have each one different color, and they cannot separate them, and it's conductors of energy. So the matrikas are like conductors of energy, and the yoginis are these matrikas multiplied. So it's a big conductors of energy that they are not exactly outside our body, they are inside.